Hello, welcome to another episode of the series Marlene Nobre 2026. Today, the topic of our talk today is the lighthouse of our lives. So I'd like to welcome you all to the studio. It is a pleasure to be here once again with you. And our guest today is our dear friend Alexandre Caldini. Hello, Caldini. How are you?
Good, and thank you for having me again. It's a pleasure to be with you all. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure to have you here. So Alexandre Caldini will be talking to us about his perception of the book, The Lighthouse of Our Lives, and some comments after that. So please feel free to place your comments here for us. I'll just make a brief introduction of our guest speaker today, Alexandre Caldini. He's a book writer. He's graduated in business with courses in the UK and United States. He works at his own company as a consultant and mentor for executives. He has been studying Spiritism for over 30 years, and wrote 4 books on the matter: Spiritism, Death in the Eyes of Spiritism, Life in the Eyes of Spiritism, and more recently, The Essence of Spiritism. So the books Life and Death in the Eyes of Spiritism together, they sold over 100,000 copies, and all the proceedings go to Casas André Luiz in Brazil, as a 70-year-old non-profit NGO, and they provide shelter for around 500 patients, and of course free medical care to more than 1,700 patients with intellectual and or physical impairment. Mr. Caldini, he gives lectures on Spiritism at Spiritist centers around Brazil and abroad. He works as a volunteer commentator for the Spiritist TV station Mundo Maior and the Spiritist radio station Boa Nova. On YouTube, one can find around 300 short videos where Mr. Caldini explains the Spiritist views of life and death. And more recently, he started as a host. He hosts weekly interviews on YouTube in Portuguese. It's called Prosa Espirituosa, Witty Prose. So I won't take any longer. I know people, they're very keen to see what Caldini has to say about the book. So I'll hand it over to you, Caldini. Just give me a shout if you need. I'll put your slide here.
Thank you, Munir.
So see you shortly.
Thank you. Let me just make a short, brief correction. I'm sorry, Munir, I didn't tell you. I'm not giving anymore the rights, the editorial rights of the books to Casas André Luiz. I did so for, I don't know, maybe 5-7 years. Now I'm directed to other institutions, but anyhow, it doesn't stay with me. It's always in the use of the revenue that comes from the books to spread the word of Spiritism around. Well, pleasure to be here again. I would like to thank Elsa and you, Munir, for the invitation again. I think this is the 4th year we're together. If I recall correctly, we did on Camille Flammarion, Gabriel Delan, Ernesto Bozano, and who else? There was one more, Leon Denis as well, right? So it was very good to be with you on these studies that you all provide. This year is Dr. Marlene Nobre, right? A physician in Brazil. You probably have heard of her and the previous friends of mine who have done speeches here. This is the book, the cover of the book, the Brazilian edition, right? Marlene Nobre, Farol de Nossas Vidas, published by the FE Publishing House. What I've planned to do, friends, is to show a very brief 5 or 6 slides on this, which I have to be honest, I did on artificial intelligence just to test it. It was well done. And then I would like to make my own personal comments on the book, my personal views on it, which I already tell in advance are a bit critics. And I must say to all of you, especially to Elsa, I was a bit of afraid of reading this book because I thought perhaps would not match 100% the way I see Spiritism. And it did happen. I mean, there's plenty on the book I love it, and there's plenty on the book I did not love it at all. So I'd like to make these comments at the end after this brief presentation. Munir, could you please just go for the next one as well, please? See here, so there's a kind of summary of the book here, right? It's a metaphor, right? Of course, the lighthouse is not a physical lighthouse, but something that gives us orientation in life. That's the way. By the way, first of all, this book was not written by Marlene and Nobre. It was basically 2 friends of her who used to work in the same Spiritist center she used to work in Sao Paulo. They rewrote from the notes they had, probably from the tapes they had, the observations she made along a few years while they were studying the Gospel according to Spiritism, one of the most important books of Allan Kardec, right? So basically here, the main essence is Jesus. Jesus is, according to her, the ultimate guide for our lives, right? Human condition is like if we're navigating very stormy waters. Many people do believe these days are the worst days in terms of being really in stormy waters. I would like to remember the past, right? Our past lives during Middle Ages. Were they easy? Were they calm? Not at all. Even before that, right? I've been studying the Reform and the Protestant Reform and the Counter-Reform at that time. Was mad, was wild. If you don't agree with me, I'll kill you, or you kill me. So I think we're always improving. Of course, this is a difficult time, but it has always been like that. I think it's important that we have that in mind, so we don't think this is the worst time ever, right? She appoints the main risk, according to her, is materialism, because we keep looking for things we should not be looking. We lose our focus in what really matters. She proposes a safe route, according to her, is Christ, period. You have to follow Christ's teachings as the only one. She does say specifically only one guide for our lives. That's one of the criticisms I have. I'll come back to that in a bit, in a while. The outcome is, if you want to have a more firm route, you should align yourself with the teachings of Christ, and then you're going to be in a good route, which of course I do agree. Next one, please. Connecting science and spirituality. She was a doctor, right? And she was probably one of the first ones in Brazil in the 50s, 60s, and so forth, that tried to connect medicine with spirituality, which is very, very important and more common nowadays. According to the people who knew her, she had a good legacy in terms of putting together the medical knowledge with a more broad view of the human being, of diseases, of suffering, which is also looking at the spiritual side of life. She would go beyond dogma. Because she was a doctor, because she was from science, she believed we should also put reason behind faith. And in there we don't quite agree again, because I think she puts a lot of faith more than reason on that, but we'll see. Ethical dilemmas, spiritual perspectives on bioethics. She was already very worried about that, and again, she's passed away a few years ago. So from then on, we have evolved a lot on this, on bioengineering, the cell things, etc. So there is an issue there. But she believed to be really healthy, you should work the soul, the mind, and the physical body, as probably all of us do agree with her nowadays, right? Next one. She talks about the transition of Earth, right, from a world of, I'd say probably expiação in English, proofs and expiation, I don't know the name, to a better world. What nowadays, probably the evil is more present. In the future, being good is going to be more present than nowadays, right? How do we do that? She says the global shift is happening already, and it's a transition. During this time of transition, as it's a common knowledge, or we believe so, it's much more difficult because things are more hectic, right? The more things are happening faster, there's plenty of insecurity. Everything that is today won't be tomorrow. So it's a more tough time to come. The time of the transition is more difficult to cope with all these new things happening. Social equality. Her husband was a very important legislator in Brazil, a fairly left-wing legislator, which probably give her as well a very, I would say, equal view on how we should move ahead, right? So she is worried about inequality, and she thinks we should fight inequality, obviously. She is very keen on our own moral transformation to transform the world. That's very common in Spiritism. I particularly do believe in that as well, as we call in Portuguese, reforma íntima, right? But I think we should not leave behind the transformation of society itself. I mean, it's important to transform myself, but we should also work on the society to transform everything in society, as Allan Kardec even says so. I can't remember how he has a word for that, which is, I think it's social institutions, he says. We should work on social institutions to change them again according to what it should be. What is social institutions for Kardec? My view is that everything is social institution. Education, economy, legislation, the police, the political parties and the political scenario, environment, everything is a social issue. And my personal view is that we spirits are much more worried about transforming ourselves, which is good and necessary, but I would say insufficient. We should also be more aware of the need to transform society and act on it. And finally, hopeful outlook. She views crisis, as the Spiritism says as well, as a step for evolution. That does not mean we have to suffer. The other way around, my belief is that God doesn't want us to suffer. When you're suffering from something, it's because it's just a click. It's just an alarm clock saying, hey, wake up, move. It's time to move. Time to fix yourself, to fix society. That's the view. You don't have to suffer during this time of evolution. Next one, please. She's very much into Chico Xavier. She was a very fan of Chico Xavier, probably a personal friend as well, for what I've seen. And so she uses a lot of Chico Xavier and a lot of André Luiz and a lot of Emmanuel as well. In that we differ. I don't use anything from this Brazilian, even though I have to say, I respect a lot Chico Xavier as a person. I think he was a fantastic spirit, a fantastic person, very committed to charity, very committed to do good around himself and others. But the writings, not just on Chico Xavier, but generally the writings of psychography, romances in Brazil, I think there's a bit of imagination those, differently than Kardec, which has confronted every single step, everything he received from the spirits, he would confront it with reality, with logic, trying to take imagination out, taking fantasy out. So that's one of the things, the book of Marlene Nobre that I have read, I don't fully agree. We'll come to that as well. And secondly, item, the André Luiz collection, which is very much based on the future, right? What happens after we die? That bothers me a bit, because I think we should be more on what happens now. How do I act now, today, on things that are happening now? Forget the future. I mean, not forget the future, but the future is the future. It's going to come, and depends on you, of course, if you're going to be happier or less happy in the future. But are we acting on the present, on our days, on our family, on our community? That's the thing I missed on this book. She believes Christianity is what's important, and she has a very good devotion on the high spiritual commitments, what she believes and she receives from this high level. Next one. I think it's the last one, probably. No, there's two more. The application of the gospel, according to her, is a daily moral growth. So inner reform, as we have mentioned, the reforma íntima in Portuguese, meaning you have to pay attention to who you are, Basically, ask questions to yourself. Why am I doing this? Why do I like this person? Why I don't like that person? Why did I react like this to this situation? Why that person reacted to me in a different way on that situation? Why? Then you start to learn about yourself and improve yourself, which I fully agree. It's really important. Resilience, and she always comes back to Christ, right? If you're in a difficult time, take a look at what Christ would have done. Pray, if you will, to be able to overcome that difficulty. Everyday duty, you have to take care of your earthly daily activities. Of course, that's part of life as well. And act as if you were lighthouses to the people around you, which I also believe she's right on saying that. Meaning, there's a saying I like very much. It's supposed to be given by Francisco de Assis, Saint Francis, which goes more or less like this. Don't say much, act more. It's not quite like that, but it's stop. If you want to spread the gospel, that's what he says. Don't use words, use actions. That's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, stop talking to people. Stop saying people, you should do this, you should do that. Start acting yourself as you think it's right, and people around you are going to see that and perhaps follow the same steps as you're following. Next one. That's the last one, conclusion. To drive yourself to the safe harbor, she says you should have the horizon in front of you, should aim where you want to go, because life is very brief. It's just a passage, as she says here. So you should pay attention to what it is, but you should look at the long term as an eternal spirit that we believe we all are. Spiritual awareness brings deep peace. I strongly believe in that as well. If you see life not as the daily problems every one of us have, but as a more broad view, you become less worried about small things, right? You start looking at the long term. You don't get so much upset, so much nervous with things going around you. And you should anchor your soul in love and spiritual truth, which by what I understand of her is Christ, Christ, and Christ. Follow Christ, of course. And then there's quote unquote from her: when we choose Christ as our guide, our existential journey finds its safe harbor. That's what she says over there. Right, let me just move here something. I think that's the last one, isn't it? Sorry, just a second to open something here. I have taken some notes. Have a second, please. There we go. I've put some notes here I would like to share with you about my view on the book. I met Dr. Marlene Nobre years ago, once only in my life. We were just about to launch the very first Spiritist movie in Brazil, and we had a meeting on someone's house here in São Paulo, and I met her very briefly there, but I was able to meet her once. As I said, in the last 3 years or 4 years, thanks to Elsa Rossi, to Munir, to the people of British Union Spiritist Society, we were able to study very important authors, Gabriel Delany, Philippe Flammarion, Leon Denis, Ernesto Bozano, and they're all very scientific and philosophical authors, and I loved it. It was very profound. I think we're a bit on a different ballgame now. I think it's Marlene Nobre, on this book at least, and I want to say, this book was not written by her, but it was a transcription of her teachings at the Center Spiritist she used to go in São Paulo. It's more moralistic, in the bad sense of moralistic, I would say. It's more of a religious approach. At least that's my view. Everything I'm going to say for now, it's my view, okay? You don't have necessarily to agree with it, of course, obviously, and I might be totally wrong, but I felt I should say so, to be honest, with me first and with you as well. For me, the book was like a priest giving a sermon, a homily. And that, for me, that's not the best way Spiritists should address to the people, right? Quite the opposite. If you see, people are moving away from religion. It's very clear. I just saw recently a statistic from Germany. If you add up the Catholic and the Protestants, all the Protestants in Germany, altogether, Catholic and Protestants, there's more people who have no religion than those two big religions together. That's the first time in years, actually first time in history that happens in Germany. Japan, in Japan, there's more people that have no religion than religion. China, even, obviously. So in Switzerland, not Switzerland, Swiss as well. I saw a research from Pew Research Center in the US done some 2-3 years ago that says that more than 80, not more, just about 8 million people, 8 million Americans say they are spiritists without a religion, meaning they believe there is God, they believe there's something else after this life. Funny enough, they believe on the conversation between the death and the life, mediumship, but they don't accept any religion. They believe no religion is good for them. In Brazil, recently, the last census says the same. While the number of spiritists are dropping, the number of non-religious are going up. And that worries us a bit, right? And why is that? For me, it's because spiritism, mainly in Brazil, or Brazil is basically the only big place where spiritism is, took a root very much into like the religions with a very manichaeist? Yes and no, right? Appeal. So that I think we lose a lot of people because there's some things are difficult to understand, right? If you go in that sense. Marlene Nobre, on her speeches, gives some very healthy, indeed very healthy advices on how to be a good person, why to be a good person, how you can do to become a better person. But if moral devices are very important, and they are, and we should all be paying attention to our moral development and mental development as well, it's a more vulnerable to personal opinion, right? The way I see moral is different than the way you see moral, different than the way the other one sees moral. So we have to be very careful about trying to separate what really is from what is an opinion. And because she's commenting the gospel, it's very moral, right? If she was commenting the Book of Spirits, would be a different ballgame, would be probably more straightforward. She does reinforce the imperfection of humanity, which is totally true. Totally true. But the way she puts is very strong. We're doing wrong. This is not right, etc. When you go very strong on that, I believe people get kind of scared and desperate. And then she offers a solution, which is Jesus, only Jesus. That also I don't believe. Of course, I love Jesus' teachings. I follow Jesus' teachings. I study Jesus a lot. I think it's a wonderful guide for us. But I don't think it's the only one. If we say only the Christians are the ones, we're being partial, we're being, we put a section between people, right? So what do you mean? People from Islam are not good, Buddhists are not good, atheists, agnostics, Sikhs. I mean, there's so many other leaders, so many other important spirits that came to earth to help us to move around, that I think we should be careful about this reinforcement of only Jesus is the salvation. What else? I have some notes I put to be able to talk to you. Anyhow, the main things I have about her is this. When I study Kardec, when I study Bozano, Flammarion, Delany, Denis, I see them much more trying to be straightforward on the lines of the logical way. And I see her going much broader in terms of spirituality and religion as much more than just logic. I would like to read 3 or 4, a bit more pieces of the book that I think are problematic. Page 73, 4,600,000,000 years ago, Jesus received from God a formless ball without form, similar to marmalade or jelly, a ball that could be shaped, and through his highly evoluted spiritual mind, he shaped as a world for us. I don't know if it was like that. No one knows. I mean, it sounds like fantastic. Maybe it was true. I'm just saying it bothers me use this type of view. Page 83, there's no other master but Jesus. I don't agree with that. No other, no. Maybe he's the best as for us, but there's a lot of other masters. As we mentioned, what about Socrates? What about Plato, Seneca, Buddha, Spinoza? There's so many others. Are they not masters as well? Are they not important? No, I think it's very dangerous to say only Christ is the way. Page 97. Because you know that inside Earth, there are 5 settlements waiting for us, 5 levels. I don't know, I haven't seen that in Kardec. I'm not sure if inside Earth there are levels waiting for us. Page 151. Take a look at rebellion, right? Rebellion people, which is quite common. As I said, among intellectuals. She put all the intellectuals as people who are rebels. Not true. And the spirit will be happier the more unhappy and resignated he has been on earth. I don't believe in that as well. I don't think you have to be resignated. The other way around, I think you have to move forward to transform humanity. It's our duty while we're here to transform humanity, to work for that, not being resignated, not accepting things. This is very Catholic, very using guilty, suffering, be neglectful. No. My belief in terms of what I read in Kardec, mainly in other authors, is that you have to act to change society, not be resignated. Page 171. The difficulty here on Earth is so big that just getting into the university is enough, and the damage is done. If you go into the university, she says, the damage is done. Immediately, one does not believe in God, becomes a materialist, wants to promote change in society, wants fast changes, and so on. Where's the innocence? It does not exist any longer. I think that's very, very problematic. First, not because you go to university, you become a damaged person. Not because you go to university, you don't believe in God anymore. I went to university. Probably all of us who are here went to university and you still believe in God, right? Because you go to university, you become a materialist. Wrong. Not everyone goes to university becomes a materialist. You want to promote change in society? Yes, we do want. Everyone should want. That's good. That's not bad. Whereas the innocence, it does not exist any longer. That's not bad. That's not bad. What's the problem of not being innocent, of knowing the reality and want to change? This is spiritism. Last one. Oh, yeah, last one. On page 184, 185, she says, what's the use of having a brilliant intellect if you cause the universe to fail? Because of this, the Christs, in plural, the Christs got together, the pure and chosen spirits of the Lord were frightened. What scared them? Men going into the moon. I don't understand that. And why were they frightened by men going to the moon? And immediately held a meeting of all the leaders of our solar system. Why? Because man has no moral nor spiritual education. How good is intelligence without this education? Thus, everything is lost. We have already had 2 great world wars, and they know us perfectly well because they are much more advanced than we are. They began to wonder. Now are the Christ spirits talking, right? What now? What will become of the solar system? Because if you put your own planet at risk, it's only natural that by getting to the moon, you could put the entire solar system at risk because your lack of morality. And that's what's happening with Earth. When I see this, I cannot agree with this book. I cannot suggest that this is a great book for you to read. I mean, again, there's plenty of good things on the book as well. But positioning like this, saying that the crisis of the entire universe got together because they were scared because men went to the moon, a tiny satellite on a tiny planet on the huge infinite universe, what does it matter? What does it matter? For me, it sounds more like a sci-fi thing, an episode of Star Wars. Oh, the great leaders of the universe got together because they were worried about humankind. It doesn't make any sense to me. If there is God, there's no problem. Everything's going to be solved, right? And if these guys were wise spirits, would they be afraid of something the man is doing? Would they be scared? Doesn't make sense, right? And even if this risk does exist, if it's a dangerous thing, where is free will? I mean, we can do whatever we want and we will move around. I mean, if there's God, there's infinite chances. Nothing so bad to the point of being so alarmist, right? This is my problem with this book. I think it's too alarmist of text. Everything goes very intense colors. And the last one, just one more. On page 203, she says, nowadays, 10-year-old, 11, 12-year-old children are committing robberies. Not true, not true. Of course, you must have 1, 2, 3, 10, 100 children into crime, but that's not true. A 10-year-old will be committing robberies. When you use that, you put a You put despair into people. Everyone becomes so crazy about how bad we're doing. We're not. We're moving. We're evolving. Earth is evolving. The spirits are evolving. We should have a more serene view on things. And she says nowadays, not nowadays. If you have seen Les Miserables, you see that this is being forever. I mean, children are into crime forever. Again, there's plenty of good advice on the book, but some of her letters, some of her letters are good. But and I have to say, many people are in the book saying that she was great. She was a good friend. She gave them a good view on life. So it might be. It's just my reading of this book. But the way Spiritism should be on my way is not this way. I think we should go on the extraordinary part of Spiritism, which is logic, serenity, transformation of humanity and transformation of ourselves, embracing everyone, not just the Christians one, not just the Spiritist people, right? I think God gave us autonomy to think and to act. And even if we do something not good, I mean, it's part of our learning process, right? And becoming intellectual is not bad, it's good. We should become more and more intellectual and be less of a believer, of an imaginative, punitive, believing in fantastical stories. We have to depend less on messianism offered by religions, I believe. And my personal belief is that Spiritism is not a religion. If you go to the Père Lachaise cemetery in Paris, to the graveyard of Mr. Kardec, you would see his head over there. Under it, it's reading The Creator or something like this, of the Spiritist philosophy, not Spiritist religion, philosophy. And that's very different. And who did that? His wife, right, the widow, and his friends who knew him. So I think we should move forward on the sociological part of the Spiritism, on the philosophical part of the Spiritism, not on the punitivism, not on the despair of everything. Right? God is not a sadistic person. He's not even a person, right? That wants us to suffer quietly. Suffer only exists to show us the way. We don't have to fear the future and grab something as the only salvation exists. We have to understand the present, act on the present to guarantee, quote unquote, a better future. So I'm sorry if I disagree some of you if this was not to expect, because normally when someone talks about the book, it talks about the good things about the book. And I think it does have few things that are good, and I fully agree. But there's some things I think we should pay a bit of attention, take a bit of care with it.
Thank you, Caldini. Thank you for your impression, your comments on the book. I think it is important. I mean, we don't need to be in accordance with 100% of the books. You see, it's important to bring to light our personal perception of the book and the ideas of the author and share with people. So maybe they will get curious to read and see what they get from the book. But we have to consider that it was a posthumous work. So as posthumous work, we can be sure 100% that she wrote exactly like that. That was actually her views, 100% her views. You see, so that's why it's important to read as you did, make your own judgments. And knowing her other works, her other books, we can have an idea and perhaps feel, sure that yes, she wrote this book from cover to cover, or there's something weird here because she says differently in her other books. Or and regarding Jesus, yes, I agree with you. If you use Kardec's logic, you see, we take the teachings from Jesus. Wherever we find similar teachings, it means those teachings are really important, are really our guides. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but different societies, different religions, I would say, or different societies, communities, they have different guides who teach similar values, you see? So I agree with you. For us, Jesus is the guide, the reference, but it's not the only one. We even know, as Christians, that spiritists, Christian spiritists, we know that Jesus had many working with him. That it wasn't the only one to be followed, but He said, if you love me, follow my commandments. He didn't say, follow me. And we find his commandments in so many, everywhere in the world. It's like
And they are
mediumship.
excellent. They're excellent.
Mediumship was not just in France, in the 19th century. Mediumship has been with humanity
forever.
Since first day one, and we see the same about the values. You see, so these values are there, and I think Jesus, with his degree of elevation, he managed to compile all these values and bring to us in the form of examples. But it doesn't mean, yes, we discuss that a lot. If I'm a Muslim, if I'm a Jew, if I'm Hindu, can I be a spiritist? Yes, you can.
I had a teacher.
Do I have to follow Jesus? No, follow the values that you find in Jesus, in Muhammad, in Buddha, in
Seneca.
And we see those values. Yeah.
I had a teacher, one of my best teachers at the Center of Spirits I used to study, and she was Jew. She was Ruth. She was Jew. She was excellent. A Jewish spiritist, right? Kardec says on his book, the book I love from Kardec, Viagem Espírita em 1862, Spiritist Travel in 1862 or something like that. Yeah. He says we should not, and people get very surprised by that, we should not pray, how do you say Pai Nosso in English?
Our Lord, yeah. The Lord's Prayer. Yeah, the Lord's Prayer. Yeah.
We should not have a Lord's Prayer in a center spirit. Why? Then he explains, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, but it's very connected to Catholicism and Protestantism. And in Spiritist Center, we should allow anyone to come. So if we do so, you'd have to allow the Muslim to put his tapir on the floor to make his prayers, etc. So I think we have to be very careful to be open to things, right? But again, I understand. And someone said something here interesting as well. We all put our own opinion on things, and I did that on my books, obviously, of course, which are biased, of course they are. And we are a product of the moment. So Marlene Nobre was a product of 1950, 60, 70, 80, as we are now, as Kardec was on the 19th century. So we cannot get rid of all the things that are around us. So we have to see in that scenario as well.
Yeah, you see, you take a dummy, for instance, or a doll. You take a doll, okay? And you give to someone here in the West, dress this doll. They will dress in their own way with what the culture says is the normal dresses. You take to the East, they will dress in their way. You say, dress them in a very nice, elegant, a way. So they'll use their, what they have. The essence is the same. The way it's dressed is in accordance to, and yes, I think it is important to. To show that Spiritism goes beyond religion. You see, otherwise you exclude any other religion that is not Christian. Yeah. You see, I
see that Elsa says here, no way, Caldini, tapestry inside the Spirit Center. Why? No, Elsa, I'm saying just the opposite. My understanding of what Kardec says is the following: we should not have any type of religious signals inside of Spirit Center, because it should allow anyone to come. And if you feel, I would feel very bothered if there was a tapestry and people praying to Mecca inside of a Spiritist Center, because I'm not Muslim. And in the same way, I should respect the Muslims that want to come to Center Spirit. That's the point. I mean, we should be very multicultural, I would say, international.
Yeah. Someone asked me, you are a Spiritist. Are you a religious person? I said, yes. I'm a Spiritist, and I have my religious sides. It doesn't mean that I go to the Spiritist Center to exercise you see? So I can take in any person from any religion within the Spiritist Center, because the Spiritist Center is much more than, a church, a mosque, the synagogue, or whatever. You see, you can practice your religion in the right place, as it is practiced. But Spiritism is beyond that. It's about the truth, the reality of the spiritual world, and the reality, of our physical life in this context. We come from somewhere, we go somewhere, you see. We are momentarily here. And of course, we need to express our spiritual essence. And we express through different religions or no religions. You mentioned, some people, they are basically following what Jesus and other enlightened spirits taught us, you see, but they have no religion. They follow no one. It's natural in them. So that is important. That is important. No one is saying you have to follow A, you have to follow B. You see, you have to develop this spiritual side in you, even if you don't have a religion for that. Religion is a way that, you get together with people who are similar to you, who have similar beliefs, and, you practice that until you awake to the essence. And then you start to discard what is material. I don't need to light a candle. I don't need to have icons. I don't need to, because it's the essence. It's what's come from, inside out and not the other way around. So
yeah, true, totally true. Fully agree. Yeah. And also, I think we should pay attention to something. Again, as I said, I think the most beautiful thing God has allowed us to have, has given us, is autonomy, to think by ourselves. Né? So you say something, say, what Muniz said, do I agree with that or not? This I don't agree, this I agree. Starting moving from here to there, according to your personal view. Of course, you might be wrong. We're wrong always, almost all the time. But we are improving the way we see things. So think about ourselves, not accepting everything one says. That's my criticism about the book. When it says, there's 5 levels under the ground that you go, I don't think so. Jesus received from God a ball and shaped the ball. I don't know. I don't think we need to go in this type of imaginary things. We could go for logic, because Spiritism is so spectacular, so beautiful. It's so much explanation about things in life. It's fantastic by itself. We don't need all this. I have a British friend, that says, your hocus pocus thing, this is Spiritism. I don't want Spiritism to be seen as hocus pocus. We're not hocus pocus. We're very logic, and that's the beauty of it.
You see, I have a friend here in Curitiba, a Spiritist friend, and whenever people wants to know more about, high order worlds and more evolved spirits, he says, I don't want to know about that. I'm so far away from wherever it is, so far away my understanding, my reality. I want to know about,
daily life,
the third class world, where I am and what I can do in order to.
I strongly agree with your friend, and I say more or less the same in a different direction. I say, I don't care if there is.
Why should think about certain things?
I don't care if there is no solar. I don't care if there's umbral. It doesn't matter to me. For me, it matters now, today, here. I'm reincarnated to acting here with my family, within my work, within my community. That's what matters to me at this time, which is a very short time. And otherwise, we'd be thinking about the future. Will I meet my mother when I die? Which mother do you want to meet? You have 358 mothers. Which one? You like only the last one? No. So I think we should use our time better, thinking about how we can improve our lives and the lives of our community in here. That's more important for me.
I just want to make a final comment, because you mentioned the type of work. I mean, the books. Some of the books that were written through Chico Xavier, and the way it was written, I think, in my view, Caldini, it's difficult for anyone to write for the majority, for everyone. I think there was a need where Chico Xavier was, the same way that Jesus spoke in parables. He could have spoken in so many different ways. Why choose parables? You see, and I think Chico Xavier, the work he did was actually to meet a need, a local need. You see, perhaps to take people, or let's say, just forgive if my example is a bit crude, but when you talk to children, you have to adapt your reality to their language, to call their attention, and then slowly you take them from where they are and help them develop their ideas. And so I see that sometimes some fantastic or far away from us reality is just perhaps to excite our imagination and help us, walk in that direction. Or I think the reality of Brazil, you see, we are very religious people. It's very religious in essence. different from so many other countries, you see.
Something similar to what you said in terms of some of the religions. Says, there are religions that says, if you beat your wife, the devil is going to get you. If you don't stop drinking, the devil is going to get you. And the person gets scared and stop beating the wife, stop drinking. It's effective. I don't believe in that at all. I think it's not true. But maybe some people need. My claim here, Munir, is that we should move from this very material, imaginative thing to something better. Right?
Oh, and this is a stage.
So we have to say, well, maybe it's not like that. Maybe it's more simple. Maybe it's more logic. Maybe it's think about it. Right?
We know that fairy tales are important for children.
Yeah, they say so. Yeah.
But when we grow, we move away from that. We won't stay for the rest of our lives reading the same, stories and fairy tales and so on. So it's natural. I think. Yeah, it has to do with the spiritual maturity of each one of us, you see. Mm-hmm. So we have to grow in spiritual terms. Yeah. Yes, and I think Leon Denis and they basically walked exactly, along the same lines as Kardec, because they were immersed in the same culture. They were sharing the same public, as it were, you see. Mm-hmm. The lines of thoughts, the development of the country, and so they followed. But that had to go and look for the local needs of different parts of the world. I think that's why. But if we have condition to move with Kardec and using the same logic, and let's do it. We want to remain children forever.
True. Yeah.
We won't play in the kindergarten, in the playground for the rest of our lives. We have to, move on. Yeah. So thank you very much, Caldini.
Thank you. And once again, let me apologize, mainly to you, Elsa, and to others. I was very uneasy yesterday, today, when I was thinking about the final way I should speak. I discussed with my wife a lot. I said, well, I have to be honest, what I didn't like there, even though I did like some things she says and when she uses Kardec. So I'm sorry if I frustrated some people, but
that's good. I think people are now curious to read the book and have their own opinion, you see.
And other books, maybe other books from her are okay as well.
Yeah. So that's good. I mean, it's always important to have people's perception. And I think our duty is to go and read the book and have our own opinion. You see, we are not here to, Caldini said that. Yes, I'll follow. Munir said that, differently. So no, go and have your own opinion. Be a third party, a fourth party,
exercise,
fifth party. Yes, this is what this series is about. It's not just to put all these authors on a pedestal and say, they are wonderful. Let's go, let's read, let's have our own opinion. Let's say why I agree, why I don't agree. That's how we evolve.
True.
So thank you so much. I want to say hello here to Elsa, Giovanna, Alex, Anthony, who else? Now I know there are other people watching us here as well, but so hello to everyone. Oh, Faye, our dear friend Faye Waddington is here with us. Hello, Faye. So let me put here what Faye is saying. This universality is, to me, the greatest legacy documented by Kardec, as an invitation to free thinking and freedom from a punitive line of thoughts. Yes, I totally agree. Yes, this fear, constant fear that God is watching us, ready to punish us, and we should be responsible for what we do, what we produce, and of course, get the results of that. Be adult enough to face the results of what.
Giovanna says she's looking forward to read the book. Excellent. That's
yes,
the thing.
Wonderful. Yes, wonderful.
That's the thing. Yeah.
So Thanks for your time and opinions. Looking forward to read the book. Yeah. Elsa's saying, thank you, Caldini. God bless us all. Okay, Marlene, Chico, and yeah, I think we all have our roles and we have our duties. Not, we can say they are universal. They are more local. And as you mean, we have the importance of transforming ourselves in order to transform the society, because we have roles in the society. We are not isolated. I will go up the mountain, live by myself there my entire life just to improve myself spiritually. No, I have the duty to improve myself every day, to go out and be a good businessman, be a good teacher, be a good whatever I am. And of course, with that, promote the change in society.
That's in Kardec, right? Clearly, it says you have to live life as tough as it is.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay, we go to our announcement now. Let's just bring up the slides. Oops, wrong one. Okay, right. So our announcements. Next month we have here with us on the 5th of July, 7 p.m. British summertime, our friend Humberto Coelho. He'll be talking about Chico Xavier, Fragments of My Mirror. This is another book by Dr. Marlene Nobre. And just to make a brief comment, Humberto was with you, Caldini, last Wednesday, on your program. Yeah.
He made a great interview about the Protestant reform. It was excellent. He's going to be with us again. He's brilliant.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I watched part of it. I had to watch the rest of it. It was really brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a study group online every Saturday, 10:30 a.m. There's a study of the book, the Medium's book. It's coordinated by Charles Kemp, Guilherme Dias, and myself. Everyone invited to join us, to give your contribution. It is a study group. It's not a series of lectures, so you can participate. You have the QR code to join us, or if you prefer, the ID and passcode for the Zoom room studio where we have our group. We also hold an online group study of the book Genesis every Wednesday, 12 noon, again, UK time. You have the ID and the passcode to join us, open to everyone. And the Spiritist Society of London, they have a study, online study of the book Heaven and Hell and the Gospel According to Spiritism. Their meetings, they are on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. London time. You have the meeting ID and the passcode, also Zoom platform. I invite you all to watch Spiritual Lights on the 10th of June, this coming Wednesday. The topic is the Earth in Transformation, Spiritual and Geological Perspective. We have Marcelo Mota as the guest speaker, and of course the hosts, Elsa Rossi, Charles Kemp, and Stephen Bertosa. So you have the time here, different times from different parts of the planet. So if you are in the UK, it's 9 p.m. And we want to thank Kardec Radio for their support, their collaboration, and this effort to bring to you every year an author, Spiritist author, and their contribution. So I want to thank Kardec Radio for that. And all those who've been here with us, who will watch this later. So once again, Caldini, thank you very much for your time, for your contribution. And I hope to see you again very soon for another series. So thank you so much. And yes, from us, I want to thank all those who are watching us, and see you on the 5th of July. So thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.